us out.
Yeah. Did we already started? One more
I'll
shot?
start it.
Go sit, sit there.
You want to sit over here?
I'm about to move this chair.
I'll just move this.
Stay.
Hey, how are you? 5 hours. There.
You start already?
You got 5 hours on the island.
Okay.
So I don't get it.
Yeah,
They're both 64.
that's what I'm saying. I don't understand how we were able to last the entire morning. It was pretty long last time. It was still passing before though.
They'll be lying to us. How you doing, Dr. Easter?
Huh? How are you?
I'm not too bad. You ready for a very, very good board meeting?
Is it supposed to be a good meeting?
It's supposed to be a long one, I think.
Is it?
You want to sit over the book?
Oh,
Yeah.
hi, Jay. I'm heading over there so I don't disturb too much. Let me know.
Where I can hide. Hey, I should go get my charger, huh?
Yeah, we got
Sit over here next to that. I'll watch.
kind of a high show.
Oh, I got you. That's what was it. Everything. I was like, that's why I was outside. What about your family? There's no soul. There's audio.
Might just take about 3 minutes, just like that.
Yeah. What about your?
So we was really so we have to.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be tardy to that party. Oh, I'm I have I've been done.
I'm sorry.
Is that my picture? Okay, that's it. Just incoming grateful.
I make sure
But she said all we have to discuss. Yeah. Let's talk about it. So we did discuss and we just said, hey, if you have any questions on Did you happen to receive it?
she'll probably
give you a
yeah. Hey, do y'all have a charger? USB-C? No. Yeah. It's on charger.
Yes. 30 seconds. Thank you. I like this.
Coming up. The mic. Yeah, they had to reboot the whole system. Oh.
Our policy is everyone needs to be a few more moments for working on my classes.
Pues caballero, ¿está todo bien?
Sí, sí, gracias.
Qué bueno.
Todo good. Todo good.
Everything
Toda
bien,
mucha.
everything bien.
That always helps. I was
What side of the family?
well, we have no idea. What place do we go? It's not loud. We didn't know. I don't know. I sort of okay, so we got water, so
All right, we're going to call the Sheldon ISD board meeting to order at 6:05. Change it, I apologize. 7:05 p.m. We're going to begin with a prayer. Thank you, Father God, for bringing us together this evening, allow us to connect this school district. Thank you for all the presenters, the guests, students, parents, staff, community that are here this evening to share and all the decisions that we have to make, ask for supernatural wisdom and guidance as we discuss all the topics that we have discussed tonight. As the presenters be able to just make sure all the information is clear, and then we're able to absorb that information and make great decisions for everyone involved. Father God, as we conduct our business and finish this evening, I ask that you guide us in shield protection as we make our way home to our final destinations this evening. In the name we pray.
Amen.
Let the record show all rooms prohibited, except for Ms. Miles. And public hearing, optional flexible school day. So you spell usual to listen to this.
Hi, my name is Jemima Mills, and I am the principal of King Academic School of Excellence.
She has a.
Tonight, we are going to discuss optional flexible school day and how we use that effectively. So with optional flexible school day, our mission is to provide personalized learning to the whole child to prepare each student for college, career, and military success. Optional flexible school day allows us to provide students who are at risk of dropping out or who have dropped out with a smaller learning community, flexibility in the hours that they attend each day, flexibility in the number of days that they attend. And this year, we are going to incorporate an online dropout recovery program for students who have personal issues or other issues that they cannot come into the building. Staff, I have one administrator, one part-time counselor, 6 full-time teachers, one part-time teacher, and one shared teacher that I share with King High School. I also work very closely with our highest worker in district, and I have one SRO. My population is 100% at risk, so out of the 13 categories, my kids qualify under one of the 13 at-risk categories. There's a minimum of 20 hours of requirement for attendance each week. And these students are also eligible to participate in dual credit programs and extracurricular activities that are offered in the district. Here is a view of our enrollment over the past years. So we have steadily increased the enrollment at CASE. This year, we had a total of 154 students enrolled in CASE. And this public hearing is because every year annually, we must apply to TEA to submit attendance as OFSDP, optional flexible school days. And this is how we receive full ADA for these students receiving the minimum of 20 hours. And tonight it will be an action item. Are there any questions?
I think with everyone, we used to do the graduations here in the board. Started 10, 5, 10 kids and group. So, good program. Thank you. Now we will have. Budget tax rate.
Yes, sir. President Rivers, Dr. McCord, and members of the board, this is a public hearing on our 2023-24 proposed budget and proposed tax rate. All required publications are made on mass media and also on our website as well. I have prepared a few slides for you, but before I jump into the slides, let me share a few highlights of the budget. Student enrollment. We continue to see growth at the rate of 4 to 5% every year. This proposed budget addresses the increasing needs of the district. Property value. Our taxable property value is increasing at the rate of 5 to 7% on an average every year. And this is going to help us reducing our M&O tax rate and to increase the taxing capacity for the district. Full-time employees. For the proposed year 2023-24, Shell ISD will be employing approximately 1,640 full-time employees, excluding part-time and substitutes. So now I'm going into the slides. I will be going through the slides pretty quick, but feel free to stop me for any questions because we are already shared some of the slides at the last meeting. Projected membership, you can see from 2018 all the way to projected 2023-24. The numbers you see there is the ADA. ADA is about 92% of the actual enrollment numbers. So in actual numbers, we are looking at about 11,431 students for next year. Last year, the peak enrollment was little over 11,000 students, if you recall. And we continue to expect this growth for at least 5 more years. And if you notice, even during the COVID time, we increased our enrollment. You can see the 2019-20 data to 2021-22. Even though it wasn't at the rate of 4%, we were able to increase it. Expenditure summary. Total expenditure for the proposed year, $126.6 million. And this is an increase of about 5.8% from the current year budget. This is a pictorial presentation of the total budget. The light blue area is all expenses related to instruction and instructional related expenses. $76.3 million, that's little over 60% of the budget. And next slide is the revenue summary. Local revenue, $63.8 million. State revenue is $59.2 million. Federal program, $3.5 million. Chapter 313, $1.4 million. We still have 2 active Chapter 313 contracts. We are still working on 1 more. Total revenue budget, $127.9 million. And again, I was preparing this budget based on the legislative information when they started discussing school finance. And this revenue may be coming back a little bit, about $1 million. But we are already being covered. If you look at the total expenses, $126 million, and you see 127. So even if we don't get all that they have promised, so we still be in a balanced budget situation. Next slide, proposed tax rates, minimum tax rate. I'm going with the current year low, because nothing being approved for the next budget year, 0.955. Possible reduction on special session, but not sure at this point. But the recommendation by peers is going with the current year low, so that's what you see there. However, there is an increase of 4 cents for INS tax rate. We were at 0.46 last year, and because of the additional bond sales, we will be at 0.5050 cents for INS. Total tax rate 1.45. Next slide, please. Child nutrition. Last year, we had 8.6 million proposed to budget year, $9 million, and we have a fund balance of $1.5 million for that. Next slide. Debt service fund, last year, $26.8 million, proposed budget, $31.4 million, which was additional bond sales that we had last year. Finance fund balance, $12.5 million. Next slide, please. Early Learning Center. Last year's budget, $399,000, proposed budget, $409,000. And as you all know, we are subsidizing that program, so I'm expecting another $20,000 subsidy for next year. Next slide, please. Building fund, $2 million. This is including the bond sale of $98 million plus some of the project that we are working on from the 2016 bonds. We finish up those projects, so that will be about $102 million for the proposed year. Any questions on proposed tax rates or questions? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Rick Sherman Smiles is at 6:17 p.m. Okay, thank you, Abraham. Appreciate that information on the budget. And moving on to celebrations, how we get the good stuff. Jones Spotlight. Call.
Absolutely. Thank you, school board, employees, community, and guests. Before we get to Sheldon Spotlights given by Ms. Coughlin, I do want to take this opportunity to introduce and recognize some new district administrators, whether they are new to their positions in the district or new to our district. And so I'm going to call your names and read some information about you. So we're going to get to know you and tell a little bit of your business, but we want you to, of course, stand up and introduce anyone that is here with you from your family. And if you have any words to share with us, we ask that you do that. So I will start with Dr. Veronica Garza. Approximately 20 years of educational experience, including 6 years as an administrator. Most recently, she was the assistant principal for Cimarron Elementary and Galena Park ISD. Dr. Garza has spent 20 years in GP ISD, where she was named the 2020 Elementary Assistant Principal of the Year. Her experience ranges from second, third, and fourth grade teacher to campus instructional coach to lead teacher and assistant principal. Dr. Garza.
Thank you so much, Board and Cabinet. I do have some people here with me today. My mother and my husband is getting over there. So they are there. I do have a lot of Galena Park people that I used to work for. My previous principal, and then just a lot of other staff members that I've worked for in Galena Park. I'm surprised to see them here, but it's a warm welcome. I do want you to know, as the new principal, I'm extremely excited. And as I told Dr. McCall, I can promise you I'm going to do my best to serve Sheldon ISD and the community of Carroll Elementary to the best of my ability. It's not possible to fail. We are going to thrive there. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Garrett Elementary Principal, Mr. Chad Davis. Associate Principal at the C.E. King 9th grade campus. Mr. Davis has 6 years of administrative experience and brings expertise in family engagement and school community relations. Prior to his time in Sheldon ISD, Mr. Davis has worked as a teacher and assistant principal in Fort Bend ISD. Mr. Davis.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you to the board for the opportunity have my wife, my son Graham, and my son Grace. And just to reiterate what Dr. Boston stated, just to make an impact on students' lives. Continue excellence, compromise excellence in what we do. One of the first things that I read in your policies and procedures, when I first got there, that statement right there, we will not compromise the excellence. We will strive for excellence in everything that we do, at their every use. And then the continued excellence, we're going to give it all we have. We promise excellence will occur.
You train in elementary, bring that voice out. They're reserved, maybe you can say that.
Yeah. All right, for Craven's Early Childhood Academy Assistant Principal Desiree Feaster. Up in Cleveland, Ohio, and Humble, Texas. She has been a part of the Sheldon ISD family for all 16 years of her career. She lives in Crosby with her two sons, ages 9 and 12, and dog Luna, and is surrounded by a supportive family in the area. Ms. Feaster.
Thank you, Dr. McCall, and thank you to the board. With me today, I have my two sons and their grandparents who are all part of my support team. I'm really looking forward to stepping into the new role, and I am looking forward to supporting
We have Mr. Colosio Smith, Assistant Principal at Monahan Elementary. Smith began his teaching career in the Texarkana Independent School District and later taught in the Aldine ISD. In 2018, Mr. Smith left the classroom and returned to Arkansas to serve as the Executive Director of Extreme Youth Programs, a federally funded alcohol and drug prevention program for students in grades pre-K through 12. His desire to be back in the classroom brought him back to Texas and to Garrett Elementary. There, he served students as a classroom teacher and most recently a math and science. Mr. Smith.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. McCall, for the introduction. I am super excited and blessed to be a part of Sheldon ISD. The last 3 years have been phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to continuing to partner with parents, with students, community to help shape the hearts and minds of our tomorrow. Being that I'm from Arkansas, I do have some former colleagues with me here from Garrett Elementary as well as the current principal. So thank you.
All right, Sheldon Elementary Assistant Principal Marcy Jackson. Jackson started as an elementary self-contained teacher in 2010. She spent 5 years as a classroom teacher. From there, she began her career as a math and science instructional specialist at a neighboring district. Most recently, Ms. Jackson also served as a math and science instructional specialist at Royalwood Elementary here in Sheldon ISD. Ms. Jackson.
Like other definitely tough act to follow, but I'll give it a try. I'm just humbled and grateful, and I appreciate the opportunity. I just want to say thank you, and thank you, Charlie, for giving me this opportunity. I'm excited to work on this new endeavor. Excited to be in it. And with me, I actually have my former principal and my current principal.
Although he's not here this evening, I do want to recognize Mr. Scott Mary, Associate Principal of Curriculum and Instruction at C.E. King High School. Mr. Mary has been in education for 19 years, serving as a coach, teacher, and administrator. Most recently, Associate Principal at Galena Park ISD's North Shore Senior High School. His wife is also a teacher, and both are children of teachers, and they have a daughter. So let's give it up for Mr. Scott Mary. So for C.E. King High School, Mr. Anthony Felder, Future Business Leader, Academy Principal. Mr. Felder has been married for 14 years, 3 children, 2 boys, 18 and 12 years old, and a girl, 6 years old. Born and raised in Houston, and he's been in ministry for 20 years, pastoring for 9 of those years in the AME denomination. Most recently, he has served as the assistant principal at Galena Park Early College High School. So,
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Glad to be here for this opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for it. Thank you, Howard, the current principal of City King, for this great opportunity. I'm ready to shake your minds. A mentor has always told me, good is not good enough, but excellence is required. So I know this district is full of excellence. I'm just ready to embark. I'm ready to make the mark. You all give me the opportunity. Thank you.
Are going to be employees who have served as administrators in the district, but they will be going to a new position. So we'll start with Takara Williams. Director of Federal Programs and Grants. Mrs. Takara Williams has been a proud educator for the past 13 years, 6 of those years in administration. Most recently, she has served as the principal of Garrett Elementary School in Sheldon ISD for 4 years. She has worked in Spring ISD and Cy-Fair ISD. Her educational career started in Spring ISD as a 3rd grade teacher. She is the wife of Mr. Eugene Williams II and the mother of Eugene III, Trey, and Carter Williams. Mrs. Williams.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to the board and to the rest of the Sheldon ISD community. I am honored and I am grateful to be able to touch the lives of more students outside of the walls of Garrett Elementary in my new role. I appreciate the opportunity and I look forward to new growth and I look forward to my new opportunities that I have been going forward. Thank you. My husband is here. This is my daddy who saved my life every day.
Last but not least, Dr. Ralph Saeed. Dr. Saeed will be our new Executive Director of Facilities Sustainment. Dr. Saeed has been an educator for 17 years, and as he starts his 10th year with us here in Sheldon ISD, he has a vested interest in the community, as his dear wife is a K-12 product of Sheldon ISD. His son is a graduate of C.E. King High School, and his daughter will be a senior at KHS this upcoming year. He has also been a sergeant in the U.S. Army. He has served as an associate principal at C.E. King High School, then principal of King Middle School, and back to C.E. King High School as Dr. Saeed.
Thank you so much, Dr. McCall. Here, before I forget, my wife, my daughters, my nieces, and my nephew with me. Well, I would like to, because I've been here for 9 years, I get to have a few more minutes. But I would start with a warning to the Green Heart folks. Once you go Sheldon, you never go back. So, new word, I remember. Thank you for asking me to come to Sheldon ISD as your associate principal. And I know at that time I was stolen, and people did not see you eye to eye. But I am so glad, and thank you so much for this great opportunity. Sheldon ISD is the best place to be at, to work at, talk to you at home every time my kids are here. I'm just excited. I am thankful. So many of you board members, I had your kids. I was either the principal or associate principal, and I know the great things that happen at Sheldon ISD. And I am looking forward to the team capacity, and I'm looking forward to do great things for our folks in the auxiliary. So I am looking forward to it. Thank you so
much. Congratulations to all. Ms. Conklin?
If you and Mr. Rivas want to join me at the front, we have one certificate to present. First, before we call him up, we are going to ask Ms. Shannon Jackson to come up to tell a little bit more about what this is. She nominated him for this achievement, so she's going to introduce him.
Good evening, everyone. Alignment Group is a premier consultant and engineering firm headquartered here in Houston, and they support science and STEM opportunities for the community. And they reached out to us because they wanted to highlight our excellent elementary science educators. And with that, I thought of our awesome educators, and Mr. Gonzalez was one of the ones that I nominated, and he rose to the occasion. The reason why I nominated Mr. Gonzalez is because he is positive, persistent, and passionate. He's a positive teammate, never complains, always has a smile on his face, will try best practice suggestions, even though he may not agree with them. You'll hear about it later, but he'll try it. He's persistent in growing as an educator. He seeks out professional development opportunities to improve his craft. He takes feedback as a gift. If you provide him with feedback in the morning, I guarantee you after lunch it will be immediately implemented with excellence. In 2016, Mr. Gonzalez was in the bottom 20% with his STAR score. He continued to work on his pedagogy and his content knowledge. And in last year, in 2022, he was at the top of the district by 20% in approaches meeting. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez is passionate about science and STEM. He's eager to participate in whatever opportunity provided by Mr. Lesnick, myself, or his principal. He supports his students in STEM opportunities on campus, after school, and in his class. He's passionate about attending outside PD to support his students. He's passionate about science curriculum. Last but not least, he's passionate about his students. He enjoys engaging them in STEM learning. He wants to make sure that it's fun. He personalizes learning for them. He captivates them with awesome phenomena that they may be interested in. He'll wear crazy wigs, as you see up there, and he'll be their STEM superhero. Mr. Gonzalez deserves these $3,500 to put in his pocket and $500 to spend in his classroom. Again, congratulations on being nominated Outstanding Elementary Science Educator of the Year for Texas.
Oh, yeah, she mentioned I'm obedient and I improvise by me at the end of the day. Everything else, I'm away. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, a few more spotlights to share with you this evening. So the Public Relations Society of America Houston's Excalibur Awards honor outstanding public relations professionals, programs, and tactics. And we're proud to share that Sheldon ISD's Bond Communication Campaign for the November 2022 election is a finalist among professionals across the greater Houston area. So the communication team members will learn results of the finals during a dinner awards presentation on Thursday of this week. Next, we also want to share that the Communication Department won 7 awards from the National School Public Relations Association. That's out of a record of more than 1,800 entries across the nation, so super exciting. The first award was a Golden Achievement Award, and it recognizes exemplary work in all aspects of school public relations, communications, marketing, and engagement. And this was for the November 2022 bond election campaign, communication campaign. And then there were also additional awards for, and you'll see those on the screen, but for our annual report, electronic newsletters for parents and for staff, as well as different branding, image packages, and our website. Next, we also want to recognize the work from our Education Foundation. From Friday, June 16th was our 3rd annual Sheldon Summer Scramble. So we want to thank all of our sponsors and then our title sponsor as well, Huckabee. I believe they're here this evening. So definitely want to thank all of our volunteers. We had about 125 players last week. We also had 20 or so volunteers that helped us. We brought in a gross of about $73,000 at this tournament, so it was definitely a record turnout. And all of this benefits innovative teacher grants and Sheldon ISD. We also want to give a special congratulations to our Teachers of the Year. We recognize them at the Sheldon Stars Banquet back in May, but we have Taylor Deese from Monahan Elementary and then Joshua Ragland from King Middle School. They will be recognized in August at the Teacher of the Year Region 4 dinner. And last but not least, we're pleased to announce that we've been preliminarily selected to receive an award for the 2023-2024 Nita M. Lowey 21st Century Community Learning Center After School Program Cycle 12 Grant in partnership with Harris County Department of Education. The program will offer an after-school program services to Monahan Elementary and Royalwood Elementary for the next 5 years in the amount of $922,000. And we have some birthdays to celebrate. Miss Archie and then Miss Matthew. Yeah.
Birthday. Miss Archie and Miss Matthew, you can stand. On three. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I know for Miss Matthew, that was a lot. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that all the celebrations. Moving on to reports and discussions. Item A, proposed policy revision, EIC local. And you have the policy, you should have the policy at your desk.
Good evening. So tonight I'm here to give you a little background on a proposed policy revision that we will present at the July regular board meeting. And so I just kind of want to give you the history of the revision that you will see in July. So our policies and procedures have to account for the difference between the San Jacinto College grading scale and our grading scale. So as you can see, looking at the chart on the slide, San Jac grades on a scale of 60 to 100. They have D's at the college level. And we grade on a scale of 70 to 100, like most high schools do. A C is the lowest grade that a student can earn as a passing score in our district. And so for years, we've had a scale to convert that college passing grade to a high school passing grade so that the student actually earns credit for both institutions. And so I want to give you on this slide like an overview of what the current scale looks like. So right now, San Jac provides to us a numerical grade. And that's a little bit different because at colleges, their transcripts reflect letter grades. But for years, as long as I can remember, San Jac has provided us with the college professor's numerical grade so that we can take that grade and translate it to the student's high school transcript. So as you see on the slide, anything between an 80 and 100 at the college will be that exact same score on the student's high school transcript. But because a 60 is the lowest passing grade at the college, it's a little bit different anywhere from 60 to 70. And so you can see on the slide what that scale currently looks like and how we translate the grades below 80. Well, moving forward, and this is the background that we're talking about for the policy change that we're going to need to make. Starting in the fall of this year, so, the grades that the students get starting between August and December from the college, San Jacinto College will follow TEA's guidelines and they will only present us with a letter grade. So this means our current scale, which is currently printed in the course guide for the high school, will need to be changed to accommodate what San Jac is going to provide to us. And on the slide, I've actually provided you the TEA dual credit FAQs, which actually state that the college is only obligated to provide us with a letter grade. And so what I wanted to share with you tonight is that we have convened a committee and we've started the work so that we can come up with a recommendation for the board in July. Looking at what other districts are doing, looking at what's best for our students. The committee consists of high school administrators, Ms. Jennifer Williams, who's the Director of Guidance and Counseling, and some cabinet members. And so we've started those discussions. And I wanted to share with you the conversion table that some of the other districts have adopted so far. And there are plenty of districts that haven't adopted a conversion table just yet, and also partnered with San Jacinto College. So I have a chart here that shares with you the letter grade. District A, that is near us, has converted an A to a 95, a B to an 85, a C to a 77, a D to a 72, and then a score of F to a 65. District B has done something similar, with the exception of they're translating a C to a 75 on the high school transcript, a D to a 70. There will be no weighted points for an F, and I could not find in District B's procedures or policy what they will do in terms of a numerical score that they will use one on the high school transcript. District C pretty much mirrors District A, with the exception of 73 for a D, and they're along the same lines as District A with a 65. On the very last column, I kind of compared that to what we're doing now with that conversion table that I shared with you. So remember, anything that is an A or a B, we're reporting it exactly as a numerical grade that the college has provided to us. And because of that table, we currently have a C is anywhere from a 75 to a 79, a D is a 70 to a 74, and an F is exactly what the college reports. I mean, if it's a 30, it's a 30. If it's a 50, it's a 50. And so our team is actually taking a look at some what-if scenarios. If what if we change to something similar, or if we came up with something different, how would this impact our students? Because as you know, we have a large population of students who are in dual credit courses. So I just kind of wanted to give you the background today so that when we come back in July, maybe we'll actually have a proposal for the board to review and to take action on. Any questions so far? We're going to miss those numerical grades, that's all I can say. All right, thank you.
Sorrel will come up for the statement presentation.
Hey, good evening, everyone. So we give this presentation once every 3 years. It's required by state law. And so this report will cover years 2020 through 2023. And I'll provide you with our safety and security status. There are 8 different sections. We'll go over them pretty quickly, and just know that I'll ask you for questions, but I can't give you specific answers as to what our safety plan is because it would put us in a compromising position. All right, our demographics. We reported to the state that we had 10,989 students. This correlates with what we reported for teams back in October. The geographical data of our area was suburban, rural, and urban. Safety and security audit information. We were fully compliant with all state requirements. This is important. The DAW has already been signed by the school board president and the superintendent. The audits were completed at all Sheldon ISD campuses, and all campuses were compliant. What we used for the audit, just so you're aware, are checklists that are provided to us by the Texas School Safety Center. We don't make those checklists ourselves. The Safety and Security Committee is made up of district folks around the district. I'm on the committee. We have some board members on the committee, principals, even some teachers. But we also have representatives from the fire department, EMS, Precinct 3, and Harris County EMS as well. We meet 3 times a year, once per semester, and then once in the summer as well. The last meeting was held on June the 15th at 1 p.m. and we will have another meeting in September to finalize our emergency operation plans. The last review that we had of the emergency operation plans were in August of 22. We will review them again for the 23-24 school year in August of 23, and then it will be brought for approval in November of 2022. The campus emergency drills, are right now housed in Navigate 360, and we are current on all of our drills in all of our campuses. Threat assessment, suicide prevention, and trauma-enforced care. We put our committee members through 2 different courses. One is the virtual course, which is Zoom through the Texas School Safety Center. The other one for our counselors is through the Harris County Department of Ed. We have the anonymous reporting system for anonymous alerts, social media monitoring through Social Sentinel. Suicide prevention training is through Vector. That used to be known as Safe Schools, if that term is more familiar to you. And also through the Vector system, we have training for the trauma and foster care. Bullying and prevention policies and procedures. Sheldon ISD is fully compliant. All of our bullying information is available online for the district and the campuses, and we are still using anonymous alerts app so that students can report or staff can report bullying anonymously so that we can take care of that without the kiddos or staff worrying about their identity being put out there. Active threat exercise. The district has not completed an active threat exercise during this reporting period. Now, we're going to talk about that just a little bit because there are some reasons for that. We are looking at bringing a recommendation that we actually go forth with that training, but we would want to talk to you about that first and make sure we're all on the same page. The exercise actually involves students and staff. Studies have shown that this exercise can be traumatic for kids and for the staff that are involved, so we want to be real careful when making that decision. It does involve coordination with local responders, local first responders, local community, and the media, because we don't want anyone to think that there was an actual threat that we were responding to try and minimize that trauma. The training, which we'll discuss with you later, would have to be age appropriate and developmentally depending on which campus that we use. We would only use one campus. This would not happen at all campuses. And it's just so that we can practice. You know, you can't prepare totally for an incident, but if we can practice it on at least one campus, that way we can troubleshoot, you know, what areas we need to improve on, or things we need to do differently. But again, we would just want to be really careful that we don't cause any trauma that's unnecessary. Additional safety and security information. We have visitor procedures on all of our campuses and our non-instructional facilities. Fund expenditures for safety and security improvements. Thank you, Mr. George. We're still contracting with Precinct 3 for our deputy contracts and security personnel. Training of district personnel, which includes our substitute teachers, our stop and lead, standard reunification method, standard response protocols, and praise training, also gaining awareness. Overall, our reputation is in good standing with the Texas Safety Center, Houston Crime Stoppers, and Harris County Department of Ed. We're compliant with all mandatory trainings, and we lead the area when it comes to training of district personnel. For example, we have put a lot of effort this past year into developing very strong relationships with our first responders. I'll give you a funny story. One of them drove by one of our campuses and said, "I see a lot of cars here today, just wanted to check in. I'm on your safety committee, just want to make sure everything's okay. You guys don't need anything." It was very sweet. That had never happened before to my knowledge in the district. So we just want to thank everybody for your support. And those of you who are not on the safety committee, if you want to join the meetings, we're happy to invite you and we'd love your input. All right, do you have any broad questions? Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm excited this evening to share a communication tool that we have been researching and want to recommend using for the 2023-24 school year. So before we start talking a little bit about that, I want to review what our communication goals are in Sheldon ISD. We strive to provide timely, adaptable communication. We want to use platforms that are intuitive. We know our demographics are changing and people want something that's easy to use. We want to provide accurate information that's easy to access, and even a bonus as if it's in one platform, right? So we start by looking at what our parents have to say. And these are the results from our most recent parent survey. We have 91% of families that feel that Sheldon is communicating well in language that they understand. So that's something that we're happy about and proud of. These are also the top 5 ways that parents prefer to receive their information and communication in Sheldon. Email is the top way, and we see that a lot, especially in different districts across the state. When I've talked with other colleagues, email is there. It notifies them, but they can come back and read it later. But that text message is still very important. As you can see, website. You can also see that phone calls have kind of shifted, keep getting lower and lower. They may have been our first primary way that people like to receive information, but now it's getting a little bit lower and lower under email and text. On our next slide, we're going to take a look at the current ways that we are communicating and the different apps that we're using to communicate. And so we're, imagining what it's like to be a parent in Sheldon with different apps to connect and stay in touch. So you can see these are a lot of the different apps that are being used district-wide, that are being used across the campus, being used for maybe teacher-parent communication. And so we've been thinking, as we look for different ways that we can improve our communication, what is the overall experience like for a Sheldon ISD parent, and how can we make it easier for our families? So something that Parent Square offers that we found during our research is one unified platform. So you can see it does 4 different things across the board, and we're looking at the website part, but what we want to talk to you about today is the mass notifications, the classroom communications, and then the different school services that it has. So as I mentioned before, our demographics are changing. The average age of a Sheldon ISD parent is 38. So this means they were born in 1985 roughly, and it classifies them as millennials. So we know that millennials are known for growing up with technology. They embrace collaboration. They're not afraid to try new things with technology, and they're used to using social media and two-way communication that's very concise and uniform, something just like Parent Square. So this might be what communication would look like in Sheldon now. You can see, and this would be after Parent Square. So what you see in that first image, it's going to keep replaying, is a lot of different messages using many different channels going to all different recipients, right? So with Parent Square, it would be one application that could be in the form of a desktop application or even a mobile app. And that would reach our families. It could even reach students and also teachers as well. So as mentioned, it's one single application that could be used for phone calls, for our mass notification messaging, our text messages, our emails, attendance calls, even personalized messaging between teachers and parents about students. This is something that can be done in a safe, controlled environment. It can also assist with any kind of investigations as needed, if we should have to do that. And it's a way for families to feel like they are staying connected and staying engaged. So we mentioned the secure messaging. I'm going to show you in a couple of slides what that would look like and how it's able to translate into different languages. But I also want to mention that it would sync directly with Skyward Family Access, which is something that we're already using. It includes forms and sign-ups, so permission forms if you want to volunteer at a campus. And then also the ability to immediately know if we're being able to connect and know the connectivity rates, and we're able to troubleshoot very quickly. That's something that's important, especially in today's Britain. We're trying to get in touch with people for emergencies. We want to make sure that we're being able to communicate with everyone. So overall, it's removing any barriers by having one application to make it easier for families to work with our schools. So what you're seeing on your screen now is the contactability rate. So after a message would be sent, we would get something that you'd see on the right side of the column that shows the contactability rate. This is great for people that really enjoy the data of it, like me, because I want to know that we're reaching everyone in our school district. So with Parent Square, each notification shares that rate. And as I mentioned, it's really important to know that with emergency notifications. The default settings of Parent Square come with all notifications turned on. So that's emails, text, phone calls, and the app notifications. But legally, we do have to allow parents the ability to opt out of the text message. That's something that we have to do. So if they don't want to receive it, they have to opt out. But there is an exception. So any emergency type of communication would bypass all opt-out. So that's something that's very important to us, and that would go out as a text or a phone call. This is an example, as I mentioned before, of what a direct message would look like, and it's one of the features that Parent Square has. This is something that could really help with the language barriers from teachers to what it would be like at home. So in this example, we call, a direct message translation. I think it's probably one of the coolest things I saw when we were doing this research. So we have a teacher who speaks English and a parent that speaks Spanish in the message on our screen, but it can do 100 different languages. It just depends what that parent has signed up for in Skyward. And so when the parent sends a message, the teacher will see it in English, but the parent may be writing it in their home language, and then it would translate in real time. So they're having a real-time conversation back and forth. And one of the most important things about this is it's logged in an archive. So if a parent's saying, I never got this message from a teacher, I didn't know this, we can pull up those chat logs and see that the message was sent, or maybe the message wasn't sent. So that's something that's important to have in case we're doing things with any kind of investigation. The next slide that you'll see is something that's pretty neat about the whole experience as well, is its signature forms for permission slips. Everything would sync with the student ID. It can be added to the calendar. There are ways for them to sign up to volunteer, ways to chaperone for events, maybe field trips. This is also a really important feature that's just one other way to connect with them in a way that they're used to using. The interface of this looks very similar to social media sites. It's something that's intuitive, doesn't require much training because once they get in and understand how to get in, they can simply start using it and get the notifications. And that leads me to training and onboarding. We would definitely come up with a very extensive plan for this because there's a lot of components here. So the first step would be eliminating all internal use of applications. So we, as you saw on that first screen, we use lots of different communication tools to communicate internally with staff and then also externally with our families. Next, we would train folks at each building to understand how to use the system. Currently, we're using School Messenger, and that's the process that we do now. We have folks in each campus that understand how to use School Messenger. And now that that's going to touch even teachers using something like Parent Square to communicate in their classroom, we would implement a train-the-trainer method. So that way there are people that understand how to use this from each building, and then they can train teachers, as well as offering trainings throughout the year. Parent Square also has a great library of support that we can use as well and offer onboarding support throughout the whole year. And then equally important is to educate our families how to use this. So this is some of the ways that we would do that below. Through having websites, simply promoting what it is, offering video tutorials of how to use it. And then finally, allow time for grace and feedback. Because as we implement anything that's brand new, we know it's going to take some time. Luckily, we have some great parent ambassadors that are a part of our community that have been here for a while because we know word of mouth is very important and can help spread the word to show how to use it and to encourage people to use it. And then wanted to share the cost with you. So roughly Parent Square is about $4.36 per student. And so year one is a little bit more expensive because it does come with an additional about $5,300 or so for the onboarding training and assistance that you wouldn't see in year two. Now we would use funds of what we're paying for School Messenger. So currently for School Messenger, we're paying about $16,300. So if you look at what that would be, the increase would be about $36,995 in addition to what we've been paying for School Messenger. So that's for year one and then year two. Then we want to show you a few of their district partnerships in Texas. They are growing very rapidly across the state. You can see on here a couple of Region 4, but there are some Region 4 that I wanted to point out that aren't here. Goose Creek CISD just signed on with them. Pasadena, Stafford, Huffman, and Barbers Hill are all using Parent Square, and then they do have a few more that are getting ready to sign on as well, that they said they'd share with me as soon as they officially have the contract. But I also want to share, want to bring up Miss Ashley Sampson, and she is going to share the perspective of using something like Parent Square at the campus level.
Good evening, how are you all?
All right, so currently I'm using about 5 of these apps at City King Middle School myself. So we all use Messenger to get messages across through email, that's texting, and that's the phone call, auto dial that goes out to all parents. But at the same time, at the beginning of the year, we train our teachers to use dojo. So if you want to communicate with your classes, each teacher has their own dojo, and you use it, and also the campus will use it to send out messages as well. Personally, I pay for my own SMORE account because I wanted to see about how many people were interacting with my actual newsletter. So even though I'm sending it out through Messenger, it kind of gives me this percentage, and I can see that they have it, but I don't know that they've actually opened it. So I purchased SMORE for myself, and the district has our own account for SMORE as well, but you can't work with multiple people. So then I find myself using Google Sites, so that multiple people can create a newsletter. So I may have my counselors on there, myself, my dean of instructors put information on there. And that kind of is where we create this large system of how we kind of use so many apps that it becomes a little, out of whack. So I also use Remind for my teachers separately, and that's text message. And teachers love Remind, so we use separate text messages. So on my phone, you can see all the different apps. And then, of course, I have a student in the district as well, so I have his teachers who get me on Dojo and Remind and so forth. So I have these things coming from everywhere, and my notifications aren't turned on. I don't know who's saying what, but my son tells Mom, did you get it? And I say, go show it to me, because after a while, you lose out on how many apps you're using. But the one thing that I did find for us is translation is a big deal in our district. I send out everything, and I have to have a secondary person translate it for me. So initially, you want to send something out really quick, and I am a literature major. I am a writer, so when I write, it's lengthy. It's not just a quick sentence. And so I do have to have someone to translate that for me, so that takes time as well. So one thing I did love about the app was, even with the text message from a teacher, you can type it up in English and it's going to translate automatically into that language. So you don't have to wait that separate individual time, sometimes 2 and 3 days or a week for someone to have the time to actually translate a full newsletter with all the information. Reminders to parents. So if you send out a task and you want to have a reminder to keep reminding that parent until they open it or until they actually put a signature, it will do that. So like right now we have registration going on. A lot of people kind of forego registration and say, hey, I keep seeing it, but I haven't touched it yet. It'll send out a reminder on the app saying, hey, you haven't quite done this task yet. Sign-ups for parents. So you do have a lot of volunteers now coming into the district. And with that, you use a separate platform too. You use Google Forms to get parents to sign up. Or you use Sign Up Genius to get parents to sign up. And so this is another platform that kind of has that one size fits everything for us, where we can get everything. Secure documents was something else I liked about it, where if you want to send out report cards, so this year we've been sending them home with students because we want to get the signatures on. Well, you can also send them through the platform, and it will remind the parent, hey, you have that to sign and get the signature back from the parents. That way, instead of the child actually taking it home or forging the signature and not bringing it back at all. Teachers can communicate with parents again. There's another part of the service where they can actually communicate with parents. A lot of teachers don't like using their own phone to communicate with parents, or they have to do the calls after school. So it kind of forces them to create like a Google phone number or *69 is what we used to use back in the day. But it forces them to do that. And this app also has that virtual phone if we purchase that component, where they can actually call through the device and it doesn't capture your number for people to use that number versus a school number. And then the last thing it talked about, which I loved, was emergency alerts. So we've had a few alerts that may come to be whether something's going on in the area, there's a lockdown, and automatically the phones start ringing. But if you're really in a lockdown, we can't answer the phone. We have to get away from the doors. And so then you know that continuous phone ring, there's a parent who's concerned, needs some information. This is a way it said that it would save the actual alerts, so you can preview templates for alerts to let parents know what's going on. So if there's a lockdown going on, you can quickly send that out. or Ms. Conklin could quickly send that out to everyone at your campus, and it would save that information from time to time, and we can add information as needed. So those are some of the components that I thought would be useful on the campus level, and that would help us with just communicating better with our parents and making sure that we're engaging the community when they're aware truly of what's going on.
So we just wanted to provide you with that information today, and then you would see this as an action item for the July meeting. Any questions? Parent Square. How long has it been? I would Google it and find out. But it's been a while because they started on the East Coast, or no, sorry, West Coast in California, and they started spreading across the nation. So as you saw in that Texas, this is where they are in Texas. So yeah. I can find out how long they've been around.
2011.
2011.
It's okay. What if you have a parent like, say, have my phone and my iPad all the time, and it's in my purse, and I'm one of those parents, I like to see stuff and sign stuff. What do you have a parent like that?
Yes. Well, and we still have that option here. I mean, we try to do everything digitally, but we still offer the good old fashioned.
Well, I can't yeah, they go back in the day. So I'm just saying, because you still have an option, us, they're, I'm not that old. That's not really technology savvy, right, when they use their phone all the time.
Right. And the good news is, so they could still get phone calls, still get texts the same way they're getting them now. This app just kind of links everything all together. So, I mean, I'm envisioning even a marketing campaign of taking your bin and deleting Seesaw, deleting Dojo, deleting, all the things that are bogging down those barriers, and just have this one platform where parents can get everything in one spot.
So as we're paying per student, this is going to be required that staff will use.
Correct.
And so as Dojo and these other apps, and I decided to have like that one we use Dojo, that would not be.
That's correct. So that's like that first part of the training piece would be, these are the expectations of what we're going to use, so that way we're all on the same page.
Have you ever told me how much we're spending on Dojo?
So we are using, for all of that is free, but because it's free, we don't get as much that we could because it's free, correct? Now, School Messenger is not free. That runs, I mean, it's about $17,000, School Messenger is. But that's what we would eliminate. So the difference in cost was like $36,000, I believe. Yeah. Well, closer to $37,000.
I will say with this particular platform, it gives us as a district an opportunity to really monitor the communication that's going out from all of our campuses, as well as our teachers and administrators, which becomes increasingly important, not just for consistency purposes, but also if we have a situation where we really need to investigate. So it really gives us at the district level an opportunity to see what's being put out there to our community.
Question?
So we would have more access to not their devices, but I'm just talking about privacy here.
Mm-hmm. So we would see, for example, that message that I showed before, it saves chat logs. So we could see the whole conversation between a parent and a teacher, an administrator and a teacher. They're using that Parent Square application, which is what they should be using. Thank you.
All right, pre-K classrooms. Go, Dr. Mustard.
Yeah.
Thank you, Glenn Park. Appreciate you staying. Go back and report.
We need wonderful teachers.
Great support. So hi, it's me. I'm back. I wanted to talk to you about, really just to remind you, a follow-up from our February board meeting where I talked to you about the pre-K environments in the learning classrooms and why that's important. As you know, we have gone to our thematic curriculum where we're really trying to build students' oral language and their curiosity and to really teach them to ask questions and find answers and love learning. And that is done best through experiential learning. And so I showed you some pictures of what our teachers did. Obviously, they created, and some of our wonderful parent volunteers also assisted with that, so that the students had hands-on with the thing that they were learning. They got to experience what it felt like, a well that's, why don't they freeze when they're in the cold water? What is it like having to take care of chickens and cows and so forth? This really is the way kids learn best, and we want to immerse them in it. And so when we were looking at this, we all obviously have some wonderful themes that we like, and our neighbors down the road really built a spectacular facility that we got to go see, and we fell in love with those thematic environments. And they told us about Exhibit Concepts, which is a great company that we're learning about that has created some personalized but very cool hands-on thematic learning environments for children. And so these are just some examples. It would be a traditional classroom. Everything in the classroom would have a purpose, not to look cute, although it does. The purpose, everything in the classroom has a purpose to teach something, whether it's the executive functions we've been talking about with building brains, or whether it's concept that's being taught. We know that the more kids experience and build that vocabulary and the language, the better the reading comprehension is going to be later on, which is our goal. We want to create kids who can read well and love to read, who love to ask questions and know where to go to find answers. So these are just some pictures of what those learning environments could look like. We are currently in negotiations with Exhibit Concepts. They are an experienced contractor. They have been around for quite a while. They have transformed many traditional environments at educational institutions, museums, and so forth. And most recently at Goose Creek, but they've also done Aileen, Mansfield, and a few others. Those are just the ones in Texas. They're actually from Ohio and have done a lot of work. So like I said, we're in negotiations on what they can do for us here in Sheldon to bring some thematic learning environments to our kids. These will be action items for you guys in July. There'll be two. One is a design contract, which will be based per classroom, and then a fabrication contract of them building the design out. But like I said, we're still in negotiations, so there's more to come on that. You have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Special education contract services. Okay.
Sorry. So I am here today just to review a couple of contracts with you guys. The first one is our shared service agreement with Humble ISD. I'll take it very slow. It's a regional day school program for the deaf. So you'll usually hear me say RDSPD. No, I'm not really Franklin. I'm going to sing it the song. I had a few people in our teams meeting go, "What are you singing?" No, I'm sorry. I need to take it slower next time. So next time you see that, you can think it up. So that's our program for our students who meet the eligibility of deaf or hard of hearing that needs some supports from specialized staff. Right now, we currently have 5 students that need that support in this district. It's a very costly program. You need an audiologist, you need staff that can do sign language to communicate, those kinds of things. So we have a couple of students that actually go to some Humble schools to support the ASL work. Because our kids are usually verbally when they communicate, our students that cannot verbalize or hear people speaking, it's not conducive for their learning environment. So we do send 2 students over to Humble ISD to get that support and be in that language-rich environment and the preferred mode of communication for them. Other things that they do is we do have our teachers from Humble ISD that support our students directly in the classroom here at Sheldon. A lot of times they come in to support the student. It could be as simple as we need to update your hearing aids. Let's get those batteries in, make sure you can hear. Communicate with our teachers if there's an assistive technology to help with if there's background noise for some of our students that have hearing deficit. A lot of times just a simple kid, just moving their papers can be a distraction. So we have different assistive technology devices that a teacher will have a mic on her clothes and it talks directly when she speaks. They have for lack of better words, a hearing aid of their own that they can hear the teacher directly where that background noise will impact the student. So those are some things that they do. Also, they keep up with our records and we facilitate that. Now it's a co-op, so we have Kankakee a part of it because they have a small amount of students. Huffman, ISD, and Dayton and Grosky. So it's a small group of us that are supported by Humble ISD for that small group of kids. So we need to renew that agreement to support our students' needs and their IEP. Any questions about R&B SBE shared service agreement? Okay. Our next one is speech pathology. Speech pathologist. So we've had a challenging time finding credentialed speech pathologists. There is a shortage in the state of Texas, and it is challenging to get those staff members. We have over about 500 students that need that speech therapy support. Right now, we are supposed to have 6 speech pathologists with 5 speech pathologist assistants. I am fully staffed on the assistant side. We're usually able to catch those staff members pretty quick. Where we're lacking in is getting our speech pathologists. So we have a situation where it's either we keep that spot open and keep looking, and our students don't receive the services, or we contract out with a couple of vendors to get a contracted speech path to support our students. So right now, it will be 2 bilingual speech pathologists and then 1 monolingual. Right now is what we have. So we'll still have 1 open position that I'm still searching for to cover on that spot. The other thing is with our Stepping Stones COB contract, we have 1 student this year that has music therapy. Again, it's not cost effective to have a full-time music therapist for 1 student. So we contract that service for that specific IEP related service. So that will be also with the Stepping Stones. Any questions? Right now, 1 of the 3 will be a remote, a teletherapist. So what we do is we have our speech pathologist assistants with her. So I view it as a Batman and Robin kind of situation. Wherever Batman goes, Robin follows. So when our remote speech pathologist is present on the computer, our assistant is there to facilitate. So it's not a situation where we have students in a room with not really a physical adult nearby. So we attach an assistant to help with the facilitation of it. A lot of times what we do as well is for the remote speech pathologist, she supports the supervision of the assistant as well as evaluates. So we try to reduce the amount of direct speech therapy from teletherapists. Ethically, when we work with students that are teletherapy, we start to see that the student is not responsive to the intervention. The student is not sitting, they're not really interacting with that teletherapist. Ethically, we have to go back to the drawing board and look at, we need to get an in-person speech pathologist for a student. So we're always monitoring, and if we see that there are students not responding to the teletherapy that they may be assigned to, we do adjust and we get that in-person staff member for the students. Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Federal program grant applications.
Good evening. I'm coming before you because we require by law, whenever we're applying for our Title I to funds, we have to do a open record, open meeting to the board and to our public. So it also is time for us to do our ESSER review. Just to let you know that we are getting ready to apply for our Title I funds and the amount of $2.4 million. Title II, 490,000, Title III, 343,000, and Title IV, $71,000 to support our schools, our teachers, and our funds. And last comment, we went into details as to what those different programs offer and what they support. So we just have to do a notification, call this meeting. It will be posted on our website as well. The other notification with our ESSER dollars, we depleted ESSER 1 last year. This year, we will completed ESSER 2, September 30th, 2023. Now, we only have ESSER 3 funds remaining, and those funds must be depleted by September 30th, 2024. Because we received those funds, the funds were restricted because of the COVID. And there's 3 areas we have to be included every 6 months, from June, July, and June. And we have to look at our Safe Start to School program, and that link at the bottom where it says ESSER plans, if you click on it, it will take you to the website. Our Safe Start to School plan is how do we open up schools again and provide a safe environment for our students. When Dr. Davis was here, Karen and the team worked up that plan. We do review it every year, but we have to keep it posted, even though we're not working under those guidelines. But the district continue to provide safe environment for our students. We continue to provide technology support and to ensure that our environments are clean and safe and sanitized for our students. We also had to develop a continuity plan which determined if we are, since we're no longer going to be remote, we're going to be face-to-face, how we're going to continue instruction that will close learning gaps that occur because of the pandemic. And so there's a plan in place. Also in that plan, we included, what if we have to go back to remote learning or hybrid learning, what that looks like? So those things are included in that plan. The third part is how are we currently using our ESSER funds, and every 6 months, I have to present that to our stakeholders. That includes people from cabinet, it includes our principals, assistant principals. We have our Lieutenant Thurman is on that committee, Mr. Bradley for Safe and Secure Schools, teachers, parents, our community partners, and students. We meet and we discuss, we review our funds are being utilized, and we determine if there are any changes that are required. And at this time, the team determined that there are no changes that need to be made. The plan will continue. So following this meeting as well, I will post on the website that there will be no changes from now until December, which is our response review again. I will be back to meet with them again and to give you an update. You know, it's critical that we continue this process. Every month I check our link. TEA has a link and USDE has a link to this website. Once it was kind of broken, and so I had to get with this kind of fix this link. It cannot be broken. So I do check it every month to make sure that it is operating and functioning properly. So we are audited, that it will work and it will pass with flying colors. So that's my review for tonight on the educational funds, and I'll answer your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Gill.
You're welcome.
Okay. We move on to consent agenda. They discuss anything on the minutes for items A or B. If not, we'll entertain a motion for those items.
Mr. President, it's recommended the Board of Trustees approve the consent agenda A, the copy to be attached to the
Motion by Ms. Archie. Motion by Ms. Hunt, second by Ms. Miles. Comments or questions? All those in favor? Thanks. Okay, moving on to new business item 8A, flexible school day programs.
Mr. President, it's recommended the Board of Trustees approve the optional flexible school day program application with the copy to be attached and become a part of the minutes.
Motion by Ms. Archie. Second by Ms. Miles. Comments or questions on flexible school day? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Item B, low attendance day waiver.
Mr. President, recommend the board of trustees approve the low attendance waiver attached to the project.
Motion by Ms. Archie. Ms. Martinez, second by Ms. Martinez. Comments or questions? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Moving to item C and E, as we need to gather more information and more documentation for those two items. So we move on to item E, instructional resources.
Mr. President, recommend the board of trustees purchase the McBroom Healing Reading Language Arts Instructional Resources for the amount of $72,906.81.
Motion by Ms. Archie. Second by Ms. Martinez. Comments or questions on? All those in favor? Motion passed unanimous. And I know on item C and D for the gallery, we need to gather more information. There's more documents on C and D. That's the reason why we didn't take consideration or motion on those two items. Share that. Okay, moving on to item F.
Mr. President, it is recommended the board of trustees purchase the skill scope instructional resource for science and math in the amount of $105,461.30 with a copy to be attached to the cover part.
Motion by Ms. Archie. Second by Ms. Martinez. Comments or questions? All those in favor? Consider solution tree.
President, is recommended the board of trustees agree to the solution tree for 60 Sheldon ISD staff members to participate in solution tree coaching. 2022-2024 school year at a cost of $90,000 with a copy to be attached to the component minutes.
Motion by Ms. Archie. Second by Ms. Martinez. Comments or questions? All those in favor? Instructional resources, Eureka Math.
Mr. President, it's recommended that the board of trustees approve the purchase of grade lines, everything math, personal resources in the amount of $77,426.68 with a copy to be attached to the minutes.
Have a motion by Ms. Cormier. Second by Ms. Martinez. Comments or questions? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Frost Construction. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, let's, that's, Elliot. Oh, technically, no. So we can have a motion second, we do not. Because it's not, we haven't, we don't have a motion on it yet. Speak on. So we can. We can fit now.
May I get a presentation?
Yeah, this is anything top critical on this.
So I need to, I'll let you know.
Anything top critical on the side.
We can be sure.
Okay. Sure. Okay, all right. We'll table this item I, Frost Construction Company for However, we'll request for process order number 23 till the next meeting. Okay, item J, consider installation filtration system existing cooling towers.
Mr. President, it's recommended that the board of trustees approve the carrier of commercial services pricing as a member of the cooperative partnership to provide filtration systems at both existing cooling towers located at KMS and KHS at a price not to exceed $164,000, including the contingency amount of $10,000 as the best value for the district, with a copy to be attached to the.
A motion by Ms. Archie. Second by Ms. Martinez. Anyone speak on this? Sure. So we continue to I know that's, we continue to have issues with our chilling our cooling system, and you want to give a brief why this, I know I suppose why we're having to do this now.
So the last time, last fall, we replaced the cooling towers at KMS. The towers service actually the middle school as well as the entire complex there. What we're asking for now is a filtration system, which the cooling towers themselves receive a lot of dust and debris, thus clogging up the cylinders. So the filtration system as installed will prevent the clogs from happening. And so that the frequency with which the filters have to be replaced will be reduced as such.
And so what has changed from the initial installed to the central plant?
The lead is a little more.
So last summer, we replaced the cooling tower. That system did not have the filtration system. As the air goes to the cooling, as the water goes to the cooling tower, brings the air and sediments falls into the basin of the cooling tower. If you don't, with the filtration system, the sweeper system, or that dirt up and filter it out so it doesn't go into your food chillers. And also it doesn't set it at the bottom of your cooling tower, and as dirt and mud sits in the bottom of the cooling tower, it aids with the metals. Also, you require more chemicals to keep that sediment suspended for filtration.
So are we having, and the chemicals are going to coagulate for longer to coagulate? Right. And so is that something we're going to have to start doing now?
Well, the chemicals are already part of the cooling tower. The filter just helps the chemicals do their job better by keeping it solid suspended. Filtration gets all the dirt out before it goes through the chillers. And so this dirt is so fine that it clogs up the condensers.
And so the filtration system now, how often is that going to have to be serviced, or what's the requirement for servicing the filtration system?
We're getting a centrifugal filtration system. It actually blows down the dirt every day, or as is needed. It's more maintenance free for the maintenance staff not having to do anything with it. It has an automatic blow down feature. It's like a swimming pool filter. You get it back, wash your filter every so often. This system will wash the system every day. It has an automatic valve at a certain time. As pressure rises in the filter system, it will blow down and get rid of the dirt.
And so we replaced the chiller last year.
We replaced the cooling tower. Yes. And this summer, we're rebuilding chillers 1 and 2 at hand.
And that's at the central plant.
Yes. And we're going to put one in the high school also. That one right now, maintenance is having to clean the base of those cooling towers about once a month versus once a year with all the construction in the area. This system will help keep things from having to shut the system down once a month. Not only are we putting a filtration system, but we're also putting a sweeper system that suspends this, blows water around like a swimming pool, blows water around and keeps the water
instead of suspended, so the filtration system is taken out prior to going into the.
So there's no more chemicals that are going to be needed.
Oh, we still need chemicals.
I mean, no more than already
That's
used.
correct. You'll be using less water, like a.
So those are the separation point. Not truthful.
It's a trickle filter that does not use any chemicals to do its job. Chemicals that are used by the water treatment system helps keep the solids suspended in water.
So you're not going to treat solids, separate them.
Right. No.
Really?
It's going to extend your life so you're good out in water. It's reduce the maintenance that's required for your maintenance staff out there manually clean out, vacuum out the basins.
But now the maintenance on the filtration system, is that something that are?
Very little maintenance required. This thing's automatic. It gets rid of the dirt, holds it in its tank, and when the tank gets full, it automatically dumps the tank.
All right.
Real quick, can we go back to item 8I? Are you going to table that until the next board meeting, the 18th? Or because we're going to lose about 4 weeks in schedule. Permits ready to go has been issued, sort of picked up on this Friday. So just want to add that as well.
Okay. Yeah, and then as time sensitive items come across, and I know we've shared this before, if there's something that's time sensitive that has to be done. If we, as a board, needed more information, that we don't like to extend that time or delay or have any impact on those schedules. But if we don't have that information prior, then we have to do it. We get the information.
And on that board meeting for the 18th, we're scheduled to award no, because bids are due on next week from this Thursday as well. So we need more time. We'll get those bids. This to a week from this Thursday, we can have them vetted and all reference checked, so we can get them early to you guys early. We're hoping to maybe award 2 of them on that same night. Okay.
All right. Okay, any comments, questions on the filtration system? All those in favor? Motion passed unanimously. Item K, fundraisers.
Mr. President, it's recommended the Board of Trustees approve the 2023-2024 fundraiser request as submitted for a total of $319,114 to be attached to the top part of the.
Motion by Ms. Archie. Second by Ms. Miles. Comments or questions? All those in favor? Motion passed unanimous. If it pleases the board, items L through T, which are supplies and equipment and bids that have been vetted already, are something we do if there is no objection or if anyone has any questions on any of those items. If we want to combine those items with one recommendation, unless there is someone who wants to discuss any specific one. If not, we can combine those with a recommendation for L through T.
Mr. President, it is recommended the Board of Trustees approve items L through T with a copy to be attached to the top part of the minutes.
I have a motion by Ms. Archie. Ms. Miles? Okay, second by Ms. Miles. I just, sorry. Second by Ms. Miles, any comments, questions? All those in favor? Motion passed unanimous. Okay, moving on to item U, technology lending grant, 420.
Mr. President, it's recommended the Board of Trustees approve the form provided by CDWG with a price of $99,561 with a copy to be attached to the top part of the minutes.
I have a motion by Ms. Archie. Second by Ms. Miles. Comments and questions? And this is part of that package you spoke about last.
Yes, sir.
All those in favor? Unanimous. Technology lending grant, 125 laptops.
President is recommending the board of trustees approve the Ultramate compute cycle with a price and $50,500 with a copy to be attached to the common budget.
Motion by Ms. Archie. Second by Ms. Martinez. Any questions? All those in favor? Unanimous. Amended budget for 2022-2023.
Mr. President, recommending the board of trustees approve the amendment budget for 2022, 2023 with to be approved with a copy to be attached to the common part minutes.
Motion by Ms. Archie. Second by Ms. Martinez. Comments or questions? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Then now moving on to the tax.
Mr. President, it is recommended that the 2023-2024 budget be approved with a copy to be attached to the common part.
A motion from Ms. Cormier. Ms. Miles. Second by Ms. Miles. Comments or questions on the budget? Abraham? All right, all those in favor? Approval of compensation schedule for 2023-2024.
Mr. President, it is recommended that the board of trustees approve the compensation schedule submitted for 2023-2024 with the proper to be attached to the common part of the next.
Motion by Ms. Cormier. Second by Ms. Miles. Ms. Archie. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Motion passed unanimously. Okay, more information, any of these items that we need to discuss, please, we can discuss them. Item A, tax collection report, May 2023. Investment report, May 2023. Sheldon ISD expenditure and revenue report on general operating fund, child nutrition and debt services, debt service. Sheldon ISD was pleased to announce that we have been preliminarily selected to receive an award for 2022, 2023, 2024. Nita M. Lowry 21st Century Community Learning Center After School Program, Cycle 12 grant partnership with the Harris County Department of Education. The program will offer after-school program services to Monahan Elementary, Rural Elementary for the next 5 years, amount of $922,000, which was shared with us earlier. Bond update 2016, bond update 2022. Okay, comments for the public. Comments for the public under the Open Record Act. The board cannot respond to items or comments that are not covered on the agenda. Therefore, board response will not be made tonight. We have two comments from the public this evening. Rosalind Gardner. Ms. Rosalind, okay. Please note that any complaints and or concerns about a specific employee must be handled through the district's procedures, and your comments refrain from using an individual's name, title, and position of your voice and concern complaint. Your presentation should not exceed 5 minutes. Delegations more than 5 persons should not exceed 3 minutes. Thank you for taking your time to share with us in such a manner that will make our comment section productive and within the constraints of policy and staff. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for seeing me today. I come before the board to discuss about the traffic issue that we're having from the C.E. King Middle School and the Parkway Forest subdivision. It is at C.E. King, it's at Crystal Cove Drive and also Deep Valley. There is a opening in the fence where the students come out, and it looks like it is their parents that come in, and they park all in the street by the stop sign, makes it difficult for the school bus to come through, where they have had to blow the horn several times in order to come through to drop off other students. But then you, as a homeowner, you're blocked from even getting into your own driveway. We know that the students have to go home. We know that the students have to get their education. But is there some type of security that Sheldon ISD can provide in order to monitor that traffic, to make sure it flows and not stop in that particular area?
And that's Deep Valley and
Crystal Cove, where it dead ends. Sometimes you may see a constable there one time, or once a week, or twice a week. Do you think it will be benefits for the student as well as for the homeowners, as well as for Chilton ISD to have a constable there every day to monitor for their safety? Sometimes there are school fights or students fighting on that lot, which is our lot, not on a daily basis, but several times that has to been stopped by different homeowners. We want a safe neighborhood. We want everything to flow the way it's been flowing. But this has been happening the last 2 years, and nothing has been done. It's getting worse and worse. Do we have that in the budget for security to be there daily? Is that too much to ask? This great school district? That's basically all that I have. Would you be able to notify us with comments to that?
So what we'll do is, the process will be that the superintendent will then evaluate the suggestions and the comments that you made this evening. And it will not be an immediate response because this is obviously something that's a little bit bigger than just a quick fix. In other words.
No, unless you close up that opening, perhaps that will be a quick fix, but we don't want to stop the neighborhood students, because I'm not saying, I do not believe that all of this traffic is from neighborhood people. I think this may be from outside. I do not know because I haven't examined that or even looked at any data. But we would appreciate any type of support we can get from Sheldon ISD and our little subdivision, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, Linda Benoit. Good. Okay.
Good evening, board. I am Linda Benoit. I'm the vice president of the Park and Forest Homeowners Association. I'm here along with my fellow members, board members, and residents. If y'all mind standing up, please. Thank you. And we're here to express our concern. I want to piggyback on what Ms. Garner just said. This has been an ongoing issue for the last 4 years. And Dr. McCall, you know, because you've come to my house several times, it's a problem that we've had. It's not only an ongoing issue, but it's escalating. It's getting worse and worse. We have parents dropping off kids. And I know, as Ms. Garner said, these parents don't live in our neighborhood. They're circumventing your authorized drop-off points by coming through our neighborhood, causing congestion, impeding traffic in our neighborhood, which means that if something happens to not only our residents, but to the students, and an emergency vehicle will not be able to get through that area because it's so congested. It's totally impeded. They park on the streets, they park on the no parking signs, they totally disregard what the consuls have come out. They talk to them. The consul come out twice this school year. And as soon as the consul's gone, they're right back doing it. They're trashing our neighborhood. They come, they throw their trash, they eat, they throw their food remains in our neighborhood, they throw dirty diapers in our neighborhood. As Ms. Garner said, you would think that a school district of this magnitude, with this money, that can afford this beautiful new school, could do something to help us in our community. We live in this community. We don't need anything to affect our daily way of life. Our community is an old community. So again, if any emergency vehicle has to come through there, that street is impeded. They can't get through. They park on both sides of the street. I have pictures, and I'm sorry I didn't get those off my phone to show you, but it's horrible. And it has progressively gotten worse. So we're here pleading to the board to do something about it, because those are your students. Your students are not able to walk the street to come home. The ones that actually live in our community, it's difficult for them to cross the street to get into the community because cars are parked on the crosswalk. They're parked at the stop sign. They're parked in front of our mailboxes. We can't get mail. They're parked where when we ask them to move, they will not move to allow us in and out of our driveways. I don't know what else to do. You know, we've been inundated with complaints to the board about this. So I have talked to a couple of the officers, and your officers know. Your school officers know. We discussed this with a lot of your officers, and I can't remember the guy's name, but some guy came last year, the first day of school, and told me, one of your school officers said, we can't do this every day, but we're asking that it be done every day. We're asking that something is done to help our community. We don't know what else to do but bring it to you guys, because those are your students. They're not being able to cross safely. I've seen 2 near misses. I live on that farm, and I've seen 2 kids get barely missed by being hit by a car because people are angry. They can't get through. They're going in their in their cars, getting out tire irons. You just don't know some of the things that we view on that corner with the traffic there. Again, I implore y'all to think about this and do something. Be proactive for your students, not only for your students, but be proactive for our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Warner and Ms. Benoit, for your input and information this evening. And someone will look into this, actually. Okay. Okay, we're going to turn to closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 551.072 to discuss the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, 551.074, for the purpose of considering the forming evaluation, reassignment, duty, discipline, or dismissal of public officer, employee, or recruit complaints or charges against public officer, employee, 551.076, and considering deployment specific stations for or implementations of security personnel devices at 850, now it's 853.